fulfilling most of its daily demands through the southern neighbor. However, Nepal also has the largest trade deficit with India, which is only alarmingly increasing each year. While Nepal enjoys trade surplus with 24 countries, it still has trade deficit with 133 nations, the biggest imbalance being with India, pushing further the call to improve productivity and grow its exports. This is where Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, NICI, comes into play. Established in 1993 under the visionary initiation of late Prabhakar SJB Rana, NICI is a non-governmental and binational organization of both Nepali and Indian businessmen and industrialists doing business in the two nations. We believe Nepal has no alternative but to focus on import substitution and improve export-oriented industries. Hence, our aim is to promote joint ventures investment and economic relations between the two nations through good bilateral relations and cooperation.
The whole idea behind establishment of NICI was to invite bilateral investment in Nepal, as well as to propagate the bilateral trade between India and Nepal.
There are so many issues between the two countries. It is bound to be there because India is our largest trading partner, and we have been able to iron out majority of the differences between the two countries.
We at NICI facilitate bilateral trade between Nepal and India in terms of trade affairs, transit affairs of third country via India, tourism promotion and promotion of FDI from India.
NICI is a family of over 130 members from Nepal and India's leading companies.
Everybody should remember NICI if they have any issue, may it be India, may it be Nepal.
Institutions like NICI is always important because the focus is on the B2B, business to business. Because all the legal frameworks and everything are done between government to government, but to create a right environment to enact those kind of legislations, a B2B initiative and movement is necessary, and that is what NICI is for.
Over the past 3 decades, NICI has facilitated Indian companies to find partners for trade and manufacturing in Nepal. We have helped address existing and potential issues of our member organizations. And in the years to come, NICI is committed to fostering and facilitating economic activities through the promotion of bilateral trade, investment, and industries between Nepal and India. We are committed to fill in the gaps of Nepal's trade deficit and help build a prosperous neighbor and a prosperous nation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. यहाँहरु सबैलाई नमस्कार छ। निकी को बारेमा त यहाँले भर्खर हेरिहाल्नुभयो। नेपाल-इन्डिया चेम्बर अफ कमर्स एन्ड इन्डस्ट्री, नेपाल भारत उद्योग वाणिज्य सङ्घ, यसले लामो समयदेखि लगभग 30 वर्षदेखि नेपाल र भारतका उद्योगीहरूलाई जोड्ने, उद्योग र व्यवसायलाई सहजीकरण गर्ने, यहाँले भर्खर देखिहाल्नुभयो, गर्ने काम गरिरहेको छ। र नेपाल र भारतको बीचमा सदियौंदेखि रहेको सामाजिक, धार्मिक, सांस्कृतिक सम्बन्धभन्दा एक लेभल माथि लगेर अर्को लेभलमा, अर्को चरणमा लगेर आर्थिक र औद्योगिक सम्बन्धलाई विकसित गर्नलाई नेपाल भारत उद्योग वाणिज्य सङ्घले काम गरिरहेको छ। त्यसैले नेपाल उद्योग वाणिज्य सङ्घको स्थापना गर्नुहुने अग्रज हाम्रो बीचमा अहिले उहाँ हुनुहुन्न, प्रभाकर शमशेर राणाज्यूको सम्झनामा नेपाल भारत उद्योग वाणिज्य सङ्घले प्रभाकर शमशेर राणा मेमोरियल लेक्चर सिरिज सुरु गरेको हो। यो पहिलो सिरिज हो। दिस इज द फर्स्ट वान। यसको लागि यहाँहरु सबै आइदिनु भएकोमा म यहाँहरुलाई धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। हामी यसको बारेमा यो किन गर्यौं यो सबै सुन्नेछौं। पहिला यहाँहरु सबैलाई स्वागत गरिदिनु हुनलाई निकीका इमिडिएट पास्ट प्रेसिडेन्ट म्याडम सिर्जना राणाज्यूलाई यहाँहरू सबैले स्वागत गरिदिनु हुनलाई म अनुरोध गर्दछु। म्याडम सिर्जना राणा।
President of Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Sunil Kesi, Chief Guest Honorable Minister of Industry, Commerce and Supplies, Mr. Damodar Bhandari is on his way. Keynote lecture, Dr. Krishnamurthy V. Subramaniam, Executive Director at the IMF and former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. Mr. Prasanna Srivastav is, Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of India to Nepal. Mr. Siddhar Samser Jangabadur Rana, Chairman, Tara Management Private Limited. Secretaries, former secretaries, and senior officials from the Government of Nepal and Embassy of India. Past presidents, office bearers, executive committee, and esteemed members of NICI, distinguished guests, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste and a very warm welcome to all. It is a privilege to welcome you all to this special occasion, the first Prabhakar Samse Jangabadur Rana Memorial Lecture, where we gather to honor the life, leadership, and legacy of a true visionary, late Mr. Prabhakar Rana. This event is more than just a tribute. It is a celebration of his contribution that shaped Nepal's economic landscape, especially in hospitality, tourism, trade, industry, hydropower, and cross-border economic activities with India and beyond. The deep-rooted ties between Nepal and India span centuries, based on culture, heritage, trade, and economic interdependence. NICI, since its inception in 1993, has played a pivotal role in fostering this bilateral relationship, advocating for trade and investment, shaping policy framework, and strengthening business cooperation. This event is part of NICI's larger commitment to enhancing Nepal-India relations, a vision championed by Mr. Prabhakar Rana, who is, as the founding member of NICI, was instrumental in forging critical trade agreements, investment frameworks, and industrial partnership. The enduring legacy of late Mr. Prabhakar Rana, apart from his business in the field of hospitality, manufacturing, agriculture, trading, energy, etc., Mr. Rana was a trailblazer in Nepal's private sector. He has not only established Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry for bilateral trade, investment, cross-border tourism, and economic activities. He has also established Hotel Association Nepal, Pata Nepal chapter towards tourism promotion in Nepal, and Independent Power Producers Association of Nepal for promoting of investment in energy sector. These organizations, including a couple of others, have now proved that how far-sighted late Mr. Rana was. He transformed the hospitality industry, introducing international standards, partnerships, and business ethics that propel Nepal into the global tourism map. Through establishment of NICI, Mr. Rana has also played a crucial role in splitting the Trade and Transit Treaty with India and concluding the two treaties separately in 1996 and 1999. As co-chairperson of FNCCI and CII, Joint Economic Council, convincing the authorities of both the governments, there have also been other agreements in the field of tourism and power trade which he had been advocating through NICI and several other forums. Mr. Rana's efforts not only shaped Nepal's economic policies, but also strengthened Nepal-India business cooperation, a foundation we continue to build upon today. We have privileged to organize this event and honored to have with us an esteemed panel of speakers and dignitaries, each contributing to Nepal's economic, business, and policy development. As we reflect on the legacy of Mr. Rana, let this event serve as a reminder that visionary leadership is not just about individual success, but also shaping the future of nation. His principles of business ethics, economic diplomacy, and private sector leaderships remain vital as Nepal continues its economic transformation. It is now a collective responsibility to build upon his legacy, strengthening Nepal-India ties, fostering investment, and ensuring sustainable growth. On behalf of Nikki, I extend my sincere gratitude to all our guests, dignitaries, and speakers for their presence today. Your participation is a testament to your commitment to Nepal's economic progress. Thank you, and I wish you all a very insightful and inspiring session. Thank you.
थ्याङ्क यू म्याडम सृजना राणा उहाँले थोरै यो कार्यक्रमको बारेमा पनि बताउनु भयो हामीसँग डिस्टिङ्ग्विस कीनोट स्पिकर हुनुहुन्छ आइएमएफका एक्जिक्युटिभ डाइरेक्टर हामी उहाँलाई अहिले पछि परिचय गराउने नै छौँ हाम्रो प्रमुख अतिथि मन्त्रीज्यू माननीय उद्योग मन्त्रीज्यू एयरपोर्टमा त उत्रिसक्नु भएको छ तर उहाँ त्यहाँ सेक्युरिटीको कारणले यहाँलाई थाहा छँदैछ आज त्यो सेक्युरिटीको कारणले सेक्युरिटीले बाहिर जान दिइरहेको छैन त्यही भएर हामी प्रभाकरजीले जहिले पनि समयमै कार्यक्रम सुरु गर्नुपर्छ मिटिङ सुरु गर्नुहुन्छ भन्नुहुन्थ्यो त्यही भएर हामीले समयमा नै मन्त्रीज्यू आउँदै गर्नुहुन्छ हामी कार्यक्रम सुरु गर्दै गरौँ भनेर भन्यो हामी अब एउटा सानो फर्मल इनोगुरेसन जस्तो गर्दैछौँ उद्घाटन जस्तो नर्मल्ली सामान्यतया हामीले पानसमा बत्ती बालेर उद्घाटन गर्ने हाम्रो चलन हो तर हामी त्यसैलाई अलिकति संशोधन गरेर थोरै हाम्रो नेपाली संस्कृतिलाई अलिकति झल्काएर त्यसबाट फर्मल उद्घाटन गर्दैछौँ यहाँ त्यसको लागि हाम्रो सारङ्गी प्रोजेक्ट सारङ्गीका भाइ किरण नेपालीज्यूलाई म यहाँ आएर आफ्नो प्रस्तुति राखिदिनु हुन अनुरोध गर्दछु त्यसपछि अनि हामी कार्यक्रम अगाडि बढाउनेछौँ यो उहाँहरूले तयारी गर्दै गर्दा म थोरै यसको बारेमा यो कार्यक्रमको बारेमा भन्नेछु यो प्रभाकर शमशेर राणा मेमोरियल लेक्चर सिरिज भनेर हामी जुन भनिरहेछौँ यो पहिलो हो पहिले अघि नै भनिहालेँ यो प्रत्येक 2-2 वर्षमा गर्ने गरी निक्कीले उहाँको उद्यमशीलताको उहाँको सोचको उहाँको भिजनको कदर गर्दै हामी नेपालमा विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ कदर गर्छौँ गर्नुपर्छ भन्छौँ तर उद्यमशीलतालाई चाहिँ नेपालमा त्यति धेरै महत्त्व दिएको पाइँदैन मानिन्छ एज इफ पैसा कमाउनु चाहिँ पाप हो भन्ने चाहिँ हाम्रो सामाजिक अलिकति सोसियल ट्याबु पनि छ जुन समाजमा उद्यमशीलताको विकास हुँदैन त्यो समाज विकसित हुन सक्दैन किनभने समाज विकास हुने भनेकै मान्छेहरूले काम गरेर कमाई गरेर इन्कम जेनेरेट गरेर वेल्थ क्रिएसन गरेर अनि बल्ल वेल्थ क्रिएसन भएपछि बल्ल वी क्यान डिस्ट्रिब्युट द वेल्थ तर हामी कहाँ अलिकति उल्टो चक्र चल्यो पहिला डिस्ट्रिब्युसन सुरु भयो अनि क्रिएसनका कुरा गर्न थाल्यौँ हामीले बट नेभरदलेस हामीले ढिलै भए पनि यो एउटा प्रयास सुरु गरेका छौँ वी आर सेलिब्रेटिङ द एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप वी आर सेलिब्रेटिङ द लिगेसी द लिडरसिप and the vision of Mr. Prabhakar SJB Rana and it will continue actually. This is the first one. भाइ तयार भइसक्यो भए यस यहाँलाई आफ्नो प्रस्तुति गरिदिनु हुन अनुरोध गर्दछु
ठिक हुन्छ समस्त यहाँ उपस्थित व्यक्तित्वहरूलाई नमस्ते मेरो नाम किरण नेपाली आई एम द फाउन्डर डाइरेक्टर अफ प्रोजेक्ट सारङ्गी र आज यो कार्यक्रममा प्रभाकर एसजेबी राणाज्यूको मेमोरियलमा बजाउन पाउँदा एकदम खुसी लागेको छ वी रियली फिल अनर्ड र अघि कुबेरजीले भन्नुभयो जस्तो हामीले यसलाई साङ्गीतिक सुरुवात दिन चाह्यौँ मेरो नाम चाहिँ किरण नेपाली र मसँग हुनुहुन्छ दिप्सन श्रेष्ठ हामी चाहिँ नेपाली बाजा सारङ्गीलाई चाहिँ पाश्चात्य सङ्गीतसँग जोडेर चाहिँ यो बाजालाई हाम्रो संस्कृति हाम्रो कलालाई नयाँ पुस्तालाई हस्तान्तरण मात्र होइन कि यही सङ्गीतबाट हाम्रो देशलाई चाहिँ विभिन्न विदेशमा लगेर चिनाउने चाहिँ एउटा प्रयास हो हामीलाई फोल्कट्रोनिक्स भन्छौँ र विल बी स्टार्टिङ विथ फ्यु ट्युन्स र हामी चाहिँ यो एकदमै नयाँ प्रयास गर्दैछौँ सङ्गीतमा नयाँ युग कायम गर्न र प्रोजेक्ट सारङ्गी मार्फतबाट चाहिँ हामीले सिकाउने मात्र होइन कि विभिन्न सामुदायिक स्कुलमा गएर चाहिँ त्यहाँको नानीहरूलाई सारङ्गी दिएर बजाउन सिकाउन पनि सिकाइरहेका छौँ लास्ट इयर हामीले 70 जना विद्यार्थीहरूलाई सिकाएर बजाउन सक्ने बनायौँ र यसपालि चाहिँ हाम्रो प्रयास चाहिँ 100 जना बच्चाहरूलाई चाहिँ हामी सिकाउने प्रयास छ र यसमा चाहिँ हामीलाई सूर्य नेपालले चाहिँ साथ दिइराख्नु भएको छ। सो दिस प्रोजेक्ट इज कल सूर्य नेपाल गाथा सारङ्गीको कथा र हाम्रो प्रयास चाहिँ हरेक अब आउने पिँढीहरूले चाहिँ नेपाली बाजा बुझ्नुपर्छ, नेपाली बाजा बजाउनुपर्छ भन्ने हो र अब हामी रेडी हौँ। र पहिलो यो ट्र्याकको नाम छ फ्लावर मुन। आई होप तपाईहरुलाई यो हाम्रो धुन मन पर्यो होला। अबको नेक्स्ट प्रस्तुति चाहिँ द नेम अफ दिस ट्र्याक इज कल उमङ्ग। इट मिन्स द फिलिङ अफ जोय, हु डजन्ट वान्ट टु बी ह्याप्पी। सो दिस वान इज कल उमङ्ग। थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच कस्तो लाग्यो तपाईँहरूलाई कस्तो लाग्यो तपाईँहरूलाई हाम्रो मौलिक बाजामा पनि कस्तो छुट्टै प्रकारको एउटा आनन्द छ है सो अब हामी एउटा अन्तिम प्रस्तुति दिन्छौँ तर त्योभन्दा अगाडि के भन्न चाहन्छु भने हाम्रो बाजा बजाउने जिम्मेवारी चाहिँ यसलाई बचाउने जिम्मेवारी चाहिँ हाम्रो नै हो किनभने यो नै हाम्रो देशको पहिचान जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई सो अब अन्तिम गीत छ हामी यसलाई रेट्रो भन्छौँ अलिक फरक छ आई होप यु विल इन्जोय इट Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone present here for being here and enjoying our music. र सबैजना निक्कीका टिमहरूलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. कुबेरजी, thank you so much.
Thank you. What an thrilling inauguration. I think you all enjoyed it because this is traditional, a little bit improvised. Sarangi also is music also, and we also improvised this inauguration. Instead of lighting the lamp, we tried to give you a little bit musical dose. Now, to continue with the program, to continue the celebration of entrepreneurship, I would like to call President of NICI, Sunil Kesiji, to come and shed some lights on this particular program, why you started it and what is it about. Please.
Thank you, Kuberji. Namaste, welcome and suswagatam to all of the esteemed guests. And it's an immense pleasure, and I'm truly honored to be here today as the 8th successor of NICI and the youngest successor in NICI as a president. And I would like to welcome everyone at the first Prabhakar SJB Rana Memorial Lecture 2025. This is the series which we started this year in March 9. It's a very, very important event for the business community, as well as to the government, bureaucracy, and beyond, because of his, because of his immense and extraordinary contribution towards the growth of the country. This is what I feel. And before commencing, officially, I must welcome particularly to our keynote speaker, Dr. K.V. Subramaniam. Thank you so much. The important thing is that you replied to our invitation within 24 hours from Washington, D.C. to come here. That's very, very important and a great news for us at that time, because we wanted you to be here after discussing with my colleague, Mr. Ravi Raivaram, my vice president and the MD of Sri Nepal. Before instituting the concept of the Prabhakar Shamsher Rana Memorial Lecture, what we decided is to bring the noted speaker only from the business community and from the economy and from the government. This is how we invited you here, sir, and thank you for coming yesterday here, and I'm happy that you have been enjoying, and you already had a great meeting with our finance minister, then governor, and you have other scheduled meetings as well. Thank you once again for coming here, and also would like to welcome Prasanna Srivastavaji, our very dear friend of NICI, and Shuman Shekharji, who has been supporting NICI since his arrival in Kathmandu. As we have a long tie-up with the embassy, and we have a very, very unique, steady kind of relationship with the Embassy of India in terms of promoting trade, economy, and business in the country. And I'm also privileged to welcome Mr. Siddhartha SJB Rana, the son of late Prabhakar SJB Rana, and the chairperson of Tara Management Private Limited, to whom I got a chance to meet on 4th of February, sir, at your residence with the support of my colleague Ravi. And we had a fantastic meeting for 30 minutes, and you agreed to be in the first session physically. And I'm super excited to listen your thoughts on about your father, and most importantly, about the growth of Nepalese economy and the investment which you have been doing quietly in various sectors in the country, like the hydropower sector, because you are the one that your family who started investing in the first IPP. Because of this, even I see a couple of friends here, my new billionaire friends in the country, who are on the same path and contributing largely, to make the trade sufficient for Nepal by exporting power to India and Bangladesh. That's important role being played by Prabhakar SJB Rana, which I thought to mention. And thank you, my immediate past president, Srijana Ranaji, for welcoming all of our guests here, and thank you for providing wonderful leadership at NICI during your tenure. And I'm trying to do some extraordinary things under our new executive board. And once I become the Nikki president in September 26, I decided, I thought, what should I do the next? I mean, the new thing, because seminar, conference, the workshops, happenings everywhere, and all the chambers are doing, as I'm also in the FNCA as an EC member, then I decided, what should I do first? Then I realized that, why not I remember, the founding president of Nikki, and most importantly, the towering business personality of the country, led Prabhakar SJB Rana. This is how, I floated the proposal in my first executive committee members. Then my committee members agreed to host the event. Then we approached to Mr. Rana for the concurrence. Then I think, and today is March 9, we were thankful to everyone who supported us to make this event happening. The Honorable Minister is on the way because he was in Bhairava and then he is in airport now. He's talked with the security arrangements. I'm hoping that he will come here. Now let me talk a little bit about our keynote speaker, Dr. K.V. Subramaniam. K.V. Subramaniam was the youngest and 17th Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India till November 2021, I guess. And he played a very important role in shaping the Indian economy during the COVID time period. That's a very important step which he contributed to the Government of India. Then he joined India's Executive Director at the IMF, which he serves now. And he did his studies from IIM Kolkata and IIT Kanpur. Then he did his PhD from Chicago Booth School of Business. He belongs to the Tamil family from Chhattisgarh. And he's a very young and dynamic economist and who has expertise in economic policy, corporate governance, and banking. I think your expertise would be very much helpful to the development of our country, and a couple of our private sectors would be interested in days to come to host you and to bring your expertise. This is what we believe, and Nikki believes, to facilitate those ideas and those expertise and making it into reality. That is the real job of Nikki. So thank you once again. And once again, I would like to welcome everyone along my executive committee members. And we have another very important ceremony, that is the release of the book, which has been led by Mr. Kubir Chalisa and his team for the period of 3 months, along with the support of the Indian Embassy and Ministry of External Affairs, which we are launching during this event. This is also one of our important event. And we are trying to contribute to bridge the gap of investment since 1990s. If you realize and if you remember that most of the big investments came from India during the 1990s. And another, very important thing, what I would like to notify here is that Sur Nepal, one of the biggest taxpayer company in the country, it was not only the bilateral investment, it was a trilateral investment, like the British, Indian, and the Nepalese investment. So Prabhakar Rana reflects his vision, not only Nepal-India, more than this. If you see even the Botegos investment, that came from the United States. So he's a towering personality, which we know, and we are happy to pay tribute to promote his legacy in Nikki, and to support his ideas, and to activate his visions through Nikki. And we'll be continually organizing this kind of series in days to come, in every 2 years. That's our plan. This is how we'll move forward, and this is how we'll be able to bring the noted speakers from India and other countries. Once again, thank you, and after this, I'll be asking to my technical team to play a short film on Prabhakar SJB Rana's contribution in Nepal's economy and in Nikki's growth, as well as other important organizations' growth in the country. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Nikki President Sunil Kesi. We have prepared a small documentary on Mr. Prabhakar SJB Rana. What a man, what a man. You'll see here, then you'll realize how many social institutions, how many business associations, how many companies he has established. And not only established, हामी भन्छौँ नि कुनै साहित्यकारले किताब लेख्यो भने मुनामदन भनौँ लामो समयदेखि वर्षौँदेखि साझा प्रकाशनको मुनामदन नेपालमा 1 नम्बर हो, बेस्ट सेलर हो, त्यो उहाँको कृति हो। त्यस्तै उद्योगहरू पनि उद्योगीहरूका कृतिहरू हुन्। ती कृतिहरू कति लामो समयसम्म बाँच्छन् भन्ने कुरा त्यो उद्योगपतिले त्यतिखेर कुन विचारले कुन भिजनले त्यो उद्योग स्थापना गर्यो, त्यो संस्था स्थापना गर्यो, त्यसले पक्कै पनि फरक पार्दछ। त्यही भएर हामीले आज देखिरहेका संस्थाहरू सामाजिक संस्थाहरू हुन् वा व्यावसायिक संस्थाहरू हुन् वा उहाँका आफ्नै कम्पनीहरू हुन्, आज पनि ती थ्राइभिङ छन्, आज पनि ती त्यत्तिकै लयमा चलिरहेका छन्, किनभने उहाँसँग त्यो एउटा भिजन थियो कर्पोरेट गभर्नेन्सको, जुन आजकल हामी कुरा गर्छौँ। प्लिज टेक्निकल टिम हेल्प अस टु get to know the man, the real man, the celebration of entrepreneurship. Yes, please begin.
Once upon a time, Nepal was a land of open fields and quiet dreams, where the winds whispered possibilities yet to be explored. A place untouched by time, waiting for its moment. The world was changing, but here, the future still slept beneath the soil. One man saw what others could not. Born into the comforts of the palace, he could have stayed within its walls. Instead, he chose to build, brick by brick, dream by dream. He dreamed of a Nepal that was more than its past. He saw trade where there were roads, industries where there were fields, and a future where there was only possibility. And he did not just dream, he built, not for himself, but for Nepal, for its people and its future. Today, Nepal stands not as a whisper of the past, but as a roar of progress. This is his story. This is the story of Nepal's rise.
The leader must have a vision. Unless you have a clear vision, how would you move forward?
I think my late father, who passed away in 2019, above all the impressions that he left behind upon me, my sister, and perhaps even the organization, was that of a man of principle, enormous integrity, and a sense of fairness and professionalism.
नेपालीमा देशभक्त भन्छ नि. He really believed in Nepal, he served Nepal, and he took Nepal and Nepalis as they were.
He had an aura. उहाँले चाहिँ नि उहाँको पर्सनालिटीको जुन कुरा थियो नि, एउटा त्यो लिगेसी उहाँको आफ्नो पुरानो चाहिँ फ्यामिली ब्याकग्राउन्डको लिगेसी त छँदै थियो है. त्यसको पछि he was such a soft spoken, to the point. I had great admiration for that personality.
As a person, he was a very humble. The humility or his stature is there, you know, but still his humility was remarkable.
He was not a boring man. He was fun to work with. He could see the humor in things.
He was one of the very few individuals in Nepal with so much access to power. He never took advantage of any of that to suit his self-interest.
Prabhakar had a very, very good relations with Indian counterparts also. Indian government-सँग पनि भनौँ या Indian Chamber of Commerce-हरूसँग भनौँ या FICCI-सँग. So he played a very instrumental and important role to establish some relations abroad, बाहिर पनि.
We talk about how someone is the father of this or father of that. But he really is the father of tourism in Nepal.
I think he was also fortunate, wherein he had traveled the world. He was exposed to how countries are progressed, but he always identified tourism, mountains, adventure. He also identified hydropower and was the first mover. And also he believed in high-value agriculture.
Formation of Nikki, I think, was an effort to bring Nepal and India economic relations to a very business-like level. Those companies who came to Nepal, especially from India, I think they have done exceedingly well. So they are among the most successful companies operating in Nepal. So this was a very good and much needed effort to bring the business communities of the two countries together.
Institutions that he created, I think, emanate from the fact that he always believed you must devolve ownership from management. And as an owner, if you are going to interfere, then you will fail. So I think other than business, these institutions that you talk about, you're right, PATA, Chapter Nepal, Hotel Association, IPAN, King Mahendra Trust, there was also the Nepal Heritage Society. His intention was these associations were important in order to give Nepal greater gravitas with the international community.
I think he really showed the way that companies can be managed professionally and they have a better chance of growing and succeeding and sustainability.
उहाँले एउटा दिनुभयो नेपालमा त्यो कल्चर दिनुभयो र ट्रान्सपरेन्सीले र राम्रो कम्प्लायन्सले पनि यु क्यान मेक मनी यु क्यान डु गुड थिङ्स भन्ने चाहिँ जुन एउटा मेसेज सयमा दियो नि सो त्यसलाई हामीले एउटा ठुलो चाहिने मार्गदर्शनको रूपमा आई अलवेज टेक इट.
He would always say, the young generation, if you've been trained, you've studied, you're in a better position than me today. Because you understand the world, you understand best practices of that time far better than I do. And he was very trusting of that.
The fact that here we are, so many years after he passed away, and yet we are still talking about him. He's being honored yet again by Nikki. His legacy to Nepal, in Nepal, is extraordinary.
As Nepal stepped into the modern era, few visionaries have shaped Nepal's economic landscape like Prabhakar SJB Rana. His contributions laid the foundation for Nepal's progress, but his true legacy lies in the lessons he left behind. Today, as the nation continues to thrive, it is up to us to carry forward his vision and build on the path he set in motion. Nepal is a land of resilience, ambition, and immense possibility, and as long as we dare to dream, the future will always be ours to shape.
Namaste. Founding president of Nikki, Prabhakar SJB Rana has contributed hugely to Nepal's economy, which is memorable. The institutions founded by Rana have been examples of good corporate governance and ethical businesses, be it Sri Nepal, Solti Hotel, Sipradi Trading, or Portico Sea Power. They have been time and again honored by the government as the largest taxpayers in their related sectors. As of today, his companies alone contribute more than 4% of the government's tax revenue, including VAT, excise duty, income tax, and other taxes. Apart from his own companies, he has founded key business associations to support the economy. He founded Han and PATA Nepal chapter for the tourism sector's growth. He founded IPAN, and today IPAN has become a key stakeholder for the hydropower development in Nepal. Efforts in 90s, Nepal was able to bring in foreign direct investment from India, and those are the companies which are still the best examples for FDI in Nepal. He founded Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Nikki, and today Nikki is working to recreate the magic of the 1990s, when Nepal saw massive FDI inflow. Following his footsteps, Nikki is working ahead to bridge the investment gap, to continue his entrepreneurial legacy and honor his contribution to Nepal's economy. Nikki has organized Prabhakar SJB Rana Memorial Lecture Series. It will be held every 2 years. Namaste. Thank you.
What a memory. I actually don't feel good about the word tribute. That's a personal thing, but what a memory. A big round of applause for late Prabhakar SJB Rana, please. And also we thank Sahana Bajracharya and her team for this beautiful documentary. For her also, one round of applause, please. Now we'll hear from Siddharth SJB Rana. Most of the people have heard his name time again, and every year, I think, at least once, when the government announces the largest taxpayer. The man, the son himself, is going to talk about Mr. Prabhakar SJB Rana. Please, Siddharth sir.
Thank you, Kuberji. Deputy Chief of Mission, Government of India's Embassy in Nepal, Economic Counselor, current President, Mr. Sunil Kesi, Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce, Executive Committee members, past and present. I am greatly honored, me, my family, my colleagues from various companies, past and present here today, that Nikki is honoring my late father in this way to remember him and to celebrate his legacy, particularly at a time when perhaps Nepal needs more people like him. We are deeply honored to have Dr. Subramaniam with us, who has flown in from Washington for a very short visit and will be giving us his keynote speech. I guess I've been asked to share with the audience here today what was he like as a parent, what was he like as a national figure, and what was he like as a corporate pioneer. I think if I was to sum up his personality and the person he was, I would say he was first of all a patriot, then in equal measure he was a monarchist and a democrat. Now by that statement, most people would say that's an incongruous statement. How can he remain a monarchist and a democrat? You know, having been born in the seat and the height of Rana power in Singhadarbar in 1935, where he was only one of two great-grandchildren to live alongside his great-grandfather, a ruling prime minister of Nepal during the Rana regime. The other was Bharat Samsher under Chandra Samsher. Although he was born in that kind of political privilege, which continued as his two older sisters married late King Mahendra's two brothers, Prince Himalaya and Prince Basundara. In all these years, I am very happy I have never inherited any baggage. And I can assure everyone in the audience here, as we have joint venture partners, the likes of ITC, a Fortune 500 company, and various other associations like Tata's, Bharat Petroleum, Exide Industries from India, and so on. None of us, as partners, as family, or as colleagues, ever had to endure baggage of him having misused his proximity to power and privilege, whether that be domestic or international. Now, in saying he was in equal measure a monarchist and a democrat, I think, you know, having been born into a powerful family that ran Nepal, he was able to evolve with time and remain current. And he attributes his single biggest success in life to education. He was a product of education beyond the shores of Nepal, when his great-grandfather, Bahadur Samsher, had the foresight to send him to Jesuit boarding school in Darjeeling, India. He remembers how he had to go on horseback, riding several days over the hills to Amlejganj, then on to Raxol and Calcutta by train, to quite an ordeal. But he says if he had not received that education in a Jesuit boarding environment where everyone was equal, he would not have adjusted to a modern day Nepal. So I'm very happy and very proud to say, he played a role not just in business, he played a role also in national affairs, as he was very close to the centers of power, maintained good relations with political parties, the institution of palace, regional friends, international friends. And I'm tempted to say that I was privy to a lot of his life wherein perhaps, had the powers that be had listened to his advice at that time, Nepal probably would have chosen a different path, given our current political history. He was always pragmatic about the role he played. He was a first-generation entrepreneur. He, after his studies, did a stint in the National Planning Commission, realized working in government was not for him. He then went on to be an understudy in New York at the United Nations under Rishikesh Shah, who I'm told was brilliant, a tough taskmaster, and ended up being roommates with none other than Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who, as you know, became Prime Minister of Pakistan, later hanged by Zia-ul Haq. And when he returned to Nepal, he met my mother, who was half Scottish and half South Indian. Her uncle had come to Nepal when everyone had given up to try and build a highway connecting Kathmandu to Birganj in economic order. So when she visited, she met him, they fell in love, and she convinced him, look, you've got a good brain, why don't you come study with me in India? So they lived together in Patna and attended Patna University together. Very unnatural in those days. So I think our liberal streak comes from the fact that he led his life in that manner. Mind you, he was already preordained to marry someone in India. His eldest sister, Princess Princep, being a very powerful woman politically, got very annoyed, so he couldn't marry in Nepal. He was probably the first member in family to marry a complete foreigner, but she convinced him that you shouldn't have to wait and hang around for what's called an angsa, inheritance. So he separated from his father with one rifle, went and got his university degree, and was persona non grata for many years till the Solti opened, and his sister, who built the hotel, needed someone to manage it. He studied hotel management at the Ambassador Hotel in Mumbai in the early 60s and started the Solti Hotel in 1966 and ran it only to realize he couldn't run it. So he would have been one of the first entrepreneurs in Nepal who championed the idea of international brands and partnership, reaching out to the Oberois. And at that time, he said it was very difficult to convince the likes of King Mahendra that Nepal needed a brand like Oberoi, had to sign contracts where they would earn fees for their brand, for their management, because institutional capacities in Nepal had not quite been built to deal with foreign trade and foreign contracting. He went on, as everyone knows, to open many other businesses as a pioneer in hydro, etc. And above all, I think where he succeeded was his ability to separate ownership from management. That is something I inherited. We've continued with that legacy, and I think we've taken it to new heights. Dr. Subramaniam, I know, will address the gathering here today, but you know, as part of this program, I was asked a question, what would he do in Nepal today? You know, I think the first thing, because of his love of tourism, he would have reached out to the decision makers in Nepal today to say, you were fully aware of the consequences of building 2 new airports, given the geopolitical realities. And I think he would have offered the government of Nepal that he would speak to the government of India to seek a solution and not to carry these 2 white elephants, wherein he probably would have said, look, we must now look to India to see if any one of their institutions would buy these 2 airports, buy the debt out, and make them commercially viable. That's the kind of practical man he was. Dr. Subramaniam, I know you're going to address us all today. I think, you know, as it's been covered, we went through a great period of economic development, foreign investments during the early 90s, when we were actually ahead of India in terms of economic reforms. It was the 1990 reforms that really ushered in a great sense of investment, technology transfer, management know-hows. But if I were to, through his lens, look at Nepal today, we've somewhat stalled. And it's almost inexcusable that we lie as a valuable piece of real estate sandwiched between India and China, the second largest economy and the third largest economy in the making, and yet we seem to be caught in a vortex, a downward spiral of malgovernance and cronyism. Unless we come out of this, it's a mindset, it's a pattern, it's a habit, Nepal will not bear the fruits of our neighborly growth in the days ahead, and I hope you will cover the need for Nepal to have a plan. We don't have an economic plan. Bhutan has the Galefu project, very ambitious. The disheartening thing, I think, for me today, and which would have been for him, we're again talking about possibly a change in our political system. Already starting to blame a constitution, a piece of paper, parts of federalism, the provincial governments that don't work, and therefore will we continually be caught in only changing our political system every 10 to 15 years without addressing the economic needs. Nepal's got a problem of outward migration. In the last 4 to 5 months, I think about 45% of our GDP has been driven by remittance. At some point, we will have more eligible voters outside Nepal than inside Nepal. And in 10 years, I'm quite convinced we will not be able to hire productive youth in this country. And yet, we do not allow for foreigners to come live, work freely in this country. Given the demographic dividend that we could yield, given that we're a young society, we're not being able to harness that. So I foresee a day at this rate when the world at large, at least the OECD countries, countries like China, will have to look at continents like Africa, which will have a population boom in order to hire people just to keep industry alive. And I think Nepal will be one of them. Having said that, I'm again greatly honored for this event. Dr. Sunil Kesi, a great initiative on your part. And me, my colleagues, my family are humbled by this gesture and look forward to the continuation of the series after 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth sir. It was very great, and it's a very proud moment also for a son to stand in front of people and describe what his father did for this country. And everyone loves to do that, and he's a very proud son. I salute him. It's a very emotional moment also. To continue with the celebration of this entrepreneurship, I would like to call upon Mr. Prasanna Srivastava, Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of India, to share some views. As you have already seen, Indian Ambassador is the patron of Nikki. So due to some other programs, he couldn't attend. So Mr. Srivastava, please.
Thank you. Dr. K.V. Subramanian, Executive Director at IMF and former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. Office bearers of Nikki, President Mr. Sunil Kesi, immediate past President Ms. Regina Rana, Vice President Mr. Ravi Rayavaram, Mr. Siddharth SJB Rana, Uday Ranaji. Good afternoon and namaste to everyone. It's a privilege and honor for me to be here with you today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts at this inaugural lecture instituted in the name of late Prabhakar SJB Rana, the founder of Nikki. While we honor his legacy, today we also gather here to look forward to the future of the strong and enduring partnership between India and Nepal, to which he immensely contributed. Our efforts over the years have been to work with our Nepali friends for mutual benefit. The strengthening of our economic partnership is an important component of this endeavor, and last year has seen some progress on several fronts, and some of which I would like to touch upon here today. Most recently, the Commerce Secretary level India-Nepal Intergovernmental Committee, which looks after the issues of trade and transit, met in Kathmandu in January this year. IGC, as you might know, is the highest level bilateral mechanism at official level that aims to strengthen bilateral trade and investment ties between our two countries. This meeting carried out a comprehensive review of the entire range of issues related to bilateral trade and economic relationship between India and Nepal. On the sidelines of the IGC meeting, the second edition of the India-Nepal Joint Business Forum, JBF, was also organized by CII from India and FNCCI from Nepal on 11th of January. The JBF meeting provided an opportunity for businesses on both sides to give their suggestions to further facilitate bilateral trade and investment between our two countries. Significant progress has also been seen in the last few years in the area of energy cooperation, which is fast emerging as a flagship area of mutually beneficial partnership between India and Nepal. During the visit of Honorable Minister of External Affairs of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to Nepal in January last year, an agreement between the governments of India and Nepal for long-term power trade was signed, which strives to increase power export from Nepal to India to 10,000 megawatt within a decade. In November last year, the first ever trilateral power transaction from Nepal to Bangladesh via Indian grid was also inaugurated. The start of this power flow from Nepal to Bangladesh through India is expected to boost sub-regional connectivity in the power sector. The last year also saw Nepal becoming a net revenue earner by exporting hydropower to India. This development bodes well for the future of our energy cooperation. In March last year, the National Payments Corporation of India, NPCI, and PhonePe of Nepal launched interoperability between UPI apps of India and PhonePe QR codes for payment at merchant establishments in Nepal. And I'm happy to see that today more than 1,000 transactions are being carried out daily using this facility by Indian tourists visiting Nepal. This digital financial connectivity is facilitating an increase in the number of Indian tourists who are visiting or wanting to visit Nepal. Similarly, in order to unlock the vast potential for cooperation between the startups ecosystems of India and Nepal, the embassy organized the second edition of the India-Nepal Startup Connect last month, and the discussions held therein helped us identify a number of areas for mutually beneficial cooperation in the startup sector. We are happy in this context that a large number of startups and other relevant stakeholders have expressed interest in participating in the Startup Mahakumbh that the Government of India will be holding in Delhi early next month. Looking ahead, the scope for future progress between India and Nepal is vast. There is enormous potential in further developing mutually beneficial partnerships between our economies, enhancing our infrastructure, particularly in the energy sector, and leveraging digital technologies for growth. Before I close, let me also take a moment to acknowledge the leadership and vision of those who have contributed to this remarkable journey. Many present in this hall today represent the success stories of business cooperation between our two countries. The legacy of Prabhakar SJB Rana continues to inspire many. His commitment to fostering strong business ties and promoting cooperation between our two countries is a beacon that lights the way for future business leaders in both our countries. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to share these thoughts, and I congratulate Nikki for creating this platform. I also appreciate the efforts of Nikki to come with a business climate study that would be useful to Indian as well as other foreign investors desiring of exploring the Nepali market. I'm confident that Nikki would continue to play a pivotal role in enhancing economic and commercial ties between India and Nepal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prasanna Srivastav, Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of India. Now, this is the key moment now. Our keynote speaker, who Sunilji, the President, Nikki President Sunilji, and Siddharth Rana and Madam also said, Dr. Subramaniam, he flew to Kathmandu from Washington, D.C., IMF, and now he's flying back tomorrow. So, giving his short time here, sensing that this is a very important occasion, and thank you for all your participants also. I would like to call keynote speaker, Dr. Subramaniam Krishnamurthy. He was appointed Executive Director at the IMF in 2022, and prior to IMF, he was Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. Born in Chhattisgarh, Dr. Subramaniam is an alumnus of IIT Kanpur and IIM Calcutta. He received his PhD in Financial Economics from University of Chicago. There's a lot, long this bio, I won't read all, I won't bore you all, but one thing I have to mention is he has written a book called India at 100, which is one of the best sellers in India. I think we have some glimpses of the book also. Dr. Subramaniam, now I would like to invite him for his keynote speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our keynote speaker, Dr. Subramaniam. Now, Dr. Subramaniam, the floor is yours.
Shri Prasanna Srivastav ji, DCM, Indian Embassy. Shri Siddharth Rana ji, famous entrepreneur and a very proud son of the person to whom this lecture today is demarcated, Shri Prabhakar Rana ji, Sunil ji, President of Nikki, Srijana ji, former President, Ravi, Vice President, and other office bearers of Nikki. And my dear friends, let me acknowledge that it is indeed my privilege and pleasure to be delivering the first Prabhakar Rana Memorial Lecture. During my conversations and during the time that I've been here in Nepal, I've heard about how good an entrepreneur, but crucially how ethical an entrepreneur Prabhakar Rana ji was. And I feel very privileged to be speaking, to be the first keynote speaker delivering this lecture, because I myself had the privilege to write India's economic survey for the first time, advocating ethical wealth creation for a prosperous India. So in some sense, the divine willed a synergistic aspect, much like we were witnessing earlier, the Sarangi player and his accompaniment, doing a synergistic performance. So very happy to be here delivering this lecture, honoring the memory of a very ethical entrepreneur. My talk is going to be on the importance of ethical wealth creation for Nepal. But let me try and use the vantage point that I have as a board member of the International Monetary Fund. One of the big advantages of being at the International Monetary Fund and being a board member of, member of the executive board is that you get to see the global economy from a very privileged vantage point. And in that context, I'll try and describe to you how I see the global economy and how I see India, an important and my native country, of course, but an important country in this neighborhood, and Nepal and India, the synergistic relationship between them. Culturally, there's a lot that we share together, and so the importance of wealth creation, ethical wealth creation, in creating a prosperous neighborhood here. That's what I will try and speak about. Let me first, I'm sure all of you are seeing dramatic changes that are happening in the global polity, global economy. Some of the erstwhile economic powers may not be the ones that will be wielding as much power in the next couple of decades. This is a period of significant churn that is happening in the globe. And in my opinion, this churn actually started after the global financial crisis in 2008, 2009, after which a lot of the consensus that prevailed on trade and the importance of trade for the global economy, that consensus seems to have disappeared. As a result, the world going forward will have countries that are democracies and democracies that pursue the rule of law and other countries that are not necessarily democracies. And in this space, the way the global economy will evolve with these two broad pole centers, India plays a very critical role. I think all of you will acknowledge and appreciate that if there is one country, of course, Nepal, shares similar ethical attributes. But if you look at a country that has never, ever been an aggressor to another country, that is India. And having had the privilege of seeing, Indian government and the Indian polity from close quarters, I've actually come to understand that this is a bipartisan, ethically driven, aspect. Similarly, even in its worst economic moment in 1991, when India was facing a foreign exchange crisis with just a few weeks of imports to be able to purchase, given the dollar reserves that it had, even at that time, India did not default on its obligations. There are, I'm sure, during the global financial crisis and after, there are many countries that have actually chosen such a route, but India, again, this was again bipartisan based on ethical considerations. And I think these two, when you put these together, these come from the cultural ethos which Nepal shares as well. It is this cultural ethos that actually will drive the way India will be the leader in the in the global economy and in the global polity. And I think this is best captured by this wonderful quote that comes in the Maha Upanishads. Given that we are in Nepal here, I think I can quote liberally from the Upanishads. The quote goes, "Ayam nijaha paro veti ganana laghu chetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam." The essence of that is, I am nijaha, this is me or this is mine. I am nijaha paro veti, somebody, that is somebody else's. I am nijaha paro veti ganana. Ganana is just calculation. That kind of calculation. Laghu, as you know, is small. Laghu chetasam, chetana. Those that actually have a small mindset, they are the ones that say this is mine and that is yours. I am nijaha paro veti ganana laghu chetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. Those that have a large heart, udara charitanam, that for them the entire world is a family. And that is the way in which India will be, conducting itself as an economic leader in the community of nations, given the civilizational ethos that actually drives, India's thinking, both on the economic and the geopolitical dimensions. And I think it is important here to understand the importance of economic development, economic growth. In 1991, as I mentioned, India faced possibly the lowest point in its, till that time, India had followed a socialist economy. And I think as an economist, I have absolutely no hesitation in sharing with you that the data and the evidence is absolutely clear. There is not one single country that has managed to actually become economically prosperous by following socialism or its twin, communism, as an economic policy. I think that evidence is absolutely clear. And I think there is a very important message that politicians and policymakers need to take from this, from the evidence that there is. So from then on, 1991, India has actually pursued a market-driven economy. An economy that I would actually like to believe is one of dharmic capitalism or righteous capitalism, one where it's capitalism can sometimes actually, without enough checks and balances, can lead to a situation where only the wealthy end up benefiting. But I think inclusive growth is really critical. And over the last 10 years, especially, India has been able to have really inclusive growth. If you look at some of the evidence that the latest survey of poverty that has come from around 12%, using the World Bank poverty line, from about 12% in 2012, India's poverty now has reduced to less than 1%. And similarly, if you look at the inequality, both in consumption inequality, I'm not talking about wealth inequality, consumption inequality, again, using the latest survey, over the last 10 years, both urban and rural areas, inequality has declined significantly. Of course, if you look at the overall macroeconomic, especially, post-COVID, India has registered 7% plus growth and is now close to a $4 trillion economy from being, about $200 billion, in 1991 to $4 trillion now, and is poised to become the third largest economy. So when you put these data together, you see that, the model of ethical or righteous capitalism, where you respect markets, is one that can deliver inclusive growth and inclusive prosperity. And here, the role of ethical wealth creation, I cannot emphasize that enough. And here, let me share, the importance of understanding, in our own heritage, in our own scriptures. If you read the scriptures, and I've had the privilege, having been born in a very humble family. My father worked with the Indian Railways in the clerical grade. When he was growing up, he actually used to see people, his bosses, who actually he felt were far too enamored by the West. And therefore, when I got into IIT, he knew at that time that I would possibly be part of the elite. Therefore, made sure that I understand, the Indian ethos really very well. Asked me to read the Bhagavad Gita, asked me to read the Tirukkural, a document, written 3,500 years ago in Tamil, so that I was really soaked into the civilizational ethos that, that the subcontinent provides. And if you go and read that, and I think it is just incredibly eye-opening. If you look at the economic prosperity of the world over the last 2,000 years, and the economic survey that I mentioned, which I said resonates with the work of Prabhakar Rana ji, in that the very first chart that we had put was one that showed the contribution to world's GDP by various areas. India accounted for at least 1/3 of world's GDP, at least 1/3 of world's GDP up until 1750 AD. That's 3/4 of known economic history. And we did that by pursuing a model of respecting markets. If you go and read the Arthashastra, Kautilya, a philosopher and a thinker actually who was the economic thinker and strategic thinker of Chandragupta Maurya, he was someone who actually wrote the Arthashastra. Talks about, he exhorts the king, hey king, go and remove obstacles to economic activity. Only then will you have prosperity for your citizens. If you follow, pseudo-European, he didn't say that, I'm saying it, but if you take, ideas like socialism and communism, these are not part of the East. These are ideas that have been actually imported from Europe. And I think it is really important here. Let me highlight one small instance. Karl Marx, who's actually, taken as the father of some of these ideas on, communism and socialism. Very few people know that Karl Marx, his bills had to be funded by, his counterpart, Joseph Engels' father, who was a capitalist. In other words, the entire ideology and, even the book, Das Kapital, that was written, it was bankrolled by a capitalist. So the entire idea of communism and socialism would never have seen the light of the day but for capitalism supporting it. And I think this is something that is really important to understand. If you look at the way in which the Indian economy contributed, it did that by pursuing a model of dharmic capitalism. The dharma actually came from, if you think about the 4 purusharthas that are there, that Hindu scriptures advocate: dharma, arth, kama, moksha. Arth is wealth. So it's a combination of these purusharthas. And this is really important for us to understand. If you look at any one of your homes, and actually we do that here, I'm sure you all do that. If you have an altar at your place, what do you write in that altar? आप क्या लिखते हो उस altar में? आप लिखते हो शुभ लाभ. You write Shubh Labh, right? Common person, when you actually have an altar where you actually pray to the divine, you write Shubh Labh. You don't write Ashubh Labh, nor do you write Shubh Hani. I think this is part of our ethos. And if you go back, actually read the Rig Veda, the oldest document known to mankind. In the Rig Vedam, there is actually this wonderful shlokam that comes, which is the Sri Suktam. The Sri Suktam is a hymn to the goddess of wealth, goddess Lakshmi, where the prayer is to actually invite the goddess of wealth and thereby wealth into our homes, into our country, and to ask actually Alakshmi, which is poverty, penury, to stay away. So this is an ethos, and you all actually are inheritors of this ethos, where wealth and wealth creation were not thought of as necessary evil, but thought of as actually a boon to be respected, to be revered, and to be pursued. And that is something that is really important. If India and Nepal and all of us here in the East, if we have to prosper, we have to disband these imported ideas of, that have been imported from Europe and some of those continents. I think it is really critical that we go back and understand the ideas that our ancestors advocated and achieved enormous success, both economic and spiritual success. I think it is really critical. So going forward, when we look at, entrepreneurs like, Mr. Rana and others actually, and I think let me mention here, I'm not just talking about wealth creation through any means. It is about wealth creation done through ethical means, which means that you create a product or service that the consumer benefits from, and thereby you create profits as well. You don't profiteer, you create profits. There's a big difference between profiteering and profiting. Profiting is okay, profiteering is not. And I think this is the essence. So rather than get into specifics about what Nepal must be doing, I think it is really critical that you all understand, across the world, it's not just here in Nepal, demagogues will pull wool over our eyes only when we don't understand things well. When we start understanding the fact that wealth creation is really critical for economic prosperity, let me pose, and this is the last part, let me pose a question. Each one of you today, when you go back home and sit to have your meal, think about that roti or that dal that is basically, where is it coming from? It is coming from the job that you have. And where is that job coming from? Ask that question. That job is coming because some wealth creator, that wealth creator could be a private individual, could be the government, because some wealth creator put in wealth, their risk capital, and that is why you have the job. If your kids go to school, it is because you have a job that is created by a wealth creator. When you get unhealthy, if you can visit a doctor and pay his fees, it is because you have a job that has been created by a wealth creator. If you're able to go abroad, enjoy tourism, again, you actually have, it's because you have a job that is created by a wealth creator. I think in our part of the world, it is absolutely important that common citizens understand the role of ethical wealth creation in creating inclusive growth, because jobs are the best means for creating inclusive growth. There can't be a better person than me to understand that. If my father did not have his clerical job in the Indian Railways, there is no way I would have been educated, and I won't be here sharing my thoughts with you. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. I hope that some of these will be listened to and implemented upon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Subramaniam. It is very nice to hear from you. And he can go on and on and on because he's a professor and he teaches in the college. That is his main profession, let's say. So it's an honor to listen to you, Professor Subramaniam, Dr. Subramaniam. Now, Nikki has done one survey on the Indian companies that are working in Nepal. What are their stature and what is their contribution and how they feel right now? Because like Nikki President Sunilji earlier said, in 1990s, when Nepal opened up its economy, when we started our liberalized economy, there was an influx of FDI, and the most of the FDI came from India. And today also, if you look at the central bank's survey data, today also the largest chunk of FDI is from India. So we have done a little bit of small survey. It's not a big, huge survey. So we are going to release that survey today. So to release that survey, I would like to invite on stage President Sunil Kesi, Dr. Subramaniam, Prasanna Srivastava, Deputy Chief of Mission, our former State Minister for Finance, Uday Ranaji, please. Now I would like to release the survey book, and yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, as you see, this is the book on Business Climate Survey for Indian Companies in Nepal 2024. This is the first one research in recent times. Nikki does such research and surveys, so many other intellectual activities as well. Thank you, distinguished guests. Okay, then I'll continue with this celebration. To continue with the celebration, I would like to again ask our President, Nikki President, and Chief Guest to be on the stage, and Vice President Ravi Rabranji also. We have already mentioned that Dr. Subramaniam has flown from Washington, D.C., and tomorrow is going back. It is very nice, and it's our honor to hear from him. So we want to appreciate his presence. So I would like to give him a token of appreciation. Yes, it's a small token of appreciation from Nikki to Dr. Subramaniam, IMF Executive Director and former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. I would like to call Prasanna Srivastava ji also. It's a small token of love, it's a small appreciation for all the support that Indian Embassy has been giving to Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And there is a special gift for our immediate past president, Mrs. Srijana Rana. I would like to ask Mrs. Rana to come on stage. There's a very special gift from the committee. This is also a way of showing gratitude because she chaired Nikki for 4 years, continuous 4 years, and it was very difficult time then. It was COVID and all this. So it's all appreciation for her. A big round of applause for her also because of her contribution. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, now would like to now thank you all on behalf of myself. I am Kuber Chalise, and now I would like to call Mr. Ravi Rayabaran, Vice President of NICI, to give a vote of thanks. Then we'll have a photo session.
Thank you, Kuberji. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are celebrating the legacy of a visionary entrepreneur of Nepal who set global benchmarks in business. Mr. Prabhakar Rana's contributions to the business sector and his efforts in promoting Nepal heritage, culture, and nature have left a lasting impact. And talking about lasting impact, I stand before you today as a proud representative of Surya Nepal, a company that he helped create, which today stands as a beacon of success as an FDI investment in Nepal. Now, since its inception in 1986, Surya Nepal has contributed to a little more than 31,200 crores to Nepal's exchequer, perhaps unmatched by any other FDI company in Nepal. I'd now like to take this opportunity to thank a few people who made this day possible. Sunilji, the president of NICI, to celebrate the legacy of Mr. Prabhakar Rana is his brainchild. I think we all rallied around him, we all rallied around this idea, and thank you for thinking about it. Thank you for your vision and leadership, Sunilji. Today's keynote speaker, the celebrated Dr. Subramaniam. I call him Prof because I've had the privilege of sitting in his classroom, and in a manner of speaking, I'm a student. I mean, I can't have enough of him. You can keep on listening to Dr. Subramaniam all day, and he will continue to enthrall you with his ideas and wisdom about economics. So your views on the potential of Nepal, on India-Nepal partnership, and ethical wealth creation are well known, and it's great to listen to them again. You've referred to that as in one of the chapters in the economic survey, and I have read through all three of them, not that I remember much, but they are masterpieces, just like the book. And I must tell you, I have read the book as well, and there are so many concepts of that book that we can adopt in Nepal as well. To our cheerleaders, the Embassy of India, the Deputy Chief of Mission, Shri Prasanna Srivastavji, and Suman, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Prasannaji, on this occasion, and kind of always encouraging us at NICI to do whatever is possible for India-Nepal, business to prosper. To a man who continues to uphold the legacy of Sri Prabhakar Rana, and someone whom I've got to know very, very closely because he is also on our board, Sri Siddharth Rana. Thank you for showing us how business can be built ethically, and also your belief in Nepal's progress and potential. You shared some hitherto very unknown facets about your visionary father, and it's great to see you walk in those footsteps and show that ethical wealth creation is indeed possible. Madam Srijana Rana ji, thank you always for your enthusiastic support. I've known you and I've seen you at work for the last 2 years in NICI, and your energy continues to motivate us even today, even after you've passed on the baton to Sunil ji, and what a worthy successor you've chosen. To all the past presidents of NICI for contributing so immensely to building this organization, for your esteemed presence today, and the encouragement that you've always given us. To all of you, our distinguished guests who've gathered today, thank you for spending this afternoon with us. And to our friends from the media, thank you for covering us and also lending us your support. To the entire staff at NICI, and this wouldn't have been possible without their support, and they've pulled off such a wonderful function today. and I know the kind of late hours that they've put in. Thank you all for your absolutely fantastic work. Last but not the least, I extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors, Curve.ev, Argakanchi Cement, Sagarmatha Lumbini Insurance, NMB Bank, Bottega Shoe Park Company, Asian Paints, Salt Trading Corporation, CG Holdings, and our hospitality partners, Yak and Yeti and Everest Hospitality, and our internet partner, WorldLink Communications, and for their immense support in putting this book together on Business Climate Survey. We extend our sincere thanks to the Embassy of India, Kathmandu, Berger, Nelson and Nicholson, High Himalayan Hydro Construction, Himalayan Vista Private Limited, Mo Enterprises, Nepal SBI Bank, National Insurance Company, and Singati Hydro Company Limited. Thank you all for being here, and Jai Nepal.
Thank you all, and Jai Nepal, like Raviji said. There's high tea waiting for you outside. For the guests, please, for the photo op, just.